Imagine this. Natalie is glued to her latest courtroom drama, rattling off every detail about a case that could rival a soap opera. Meanwhile, Brian, who's more interested in motorcycles and what's for dinner, finds himself nodding along, trying to look engaged. Why? Because he's discovered that sometimes, just sometimes, intellectual intimacy means stepping into your spouse's world, even when it's filled with legal jargon and dramatic objections. And before he knows it, he's asking the question, wait, so what happened to that guy with the blue tie? That, my friends, is the magic of intellectual intimacy. Finding connections in the quirks and passions that make your relationship uniquely yours. Welcome to another episode of Amplified Marriage. I'm Brian.
I'm Natalie.
Well, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you hear us say, grab a coffee, go for a run. We are about to step into the next episode of the Amplified Marriage podcast. We are talking today about intellectual intimacy. And if you've missed the last couple weeks, you will know that we've talked about physical intimacy and emotional intimacy. So take a chance, go back and listen. You will definitely enjoy them.
That's right. We're in our Pillars of Intimacy series.
The Pillars of Intimacy. Today we're talking about intellectual intimacy. And as we were, just before we started the podcast.
Some giggles.
Some giggles, because you were like, well, you have to talk to each other in order to engage with each other.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's hard to be married if you're not going to be communicating. And not just communicating like your wants and your needs and your desires and your future together, but communicating sort of the quirky things that make each other. Yeah,
the
right?
Weird.
The weird, the things that you're passionate about that I might not be passionate about and vice versa. It's being able to have a conversation and...
So here's a question for you. Do you think that you have to be matched intellectually, like in intellect, like in order to stay engaged as a married couple?
No.
Thank goodness, because you're way smarter than I am.
Here's the thing.
How do you not even blink? You just keep on going like nothing was said. Like, oh yeah, no, I know I am. I just keep, wow.
I'm not. And I was going to say that for the longest time, I used, and like, he says I'm smarter. Okay, I have post-secondary education. Whoop-de-doo. And
I could lift heavy things.
There you go. So, so many times I use that as a weapon.
You did early on in the relationship. You're like, yeah. I went to school. I'm like, sweet. So did I.
Exactly. And so I don't think I think a marriage can work perfectly fine without you both, if one is a doctor and
one's a janitor.
Right, exactly. Or one's a stay-at-home dad and mom's a lawyer. I think that you can make that work.
See, what we've seen in Hollywood and TV shows, like even shows like The Big Bang Theory.
I hate that show.
I know, but the main character, Penny, used to just date big dumb jocks. And then she ended up dating a guy that was really, really smart, geeky, not athletic, not very like big and well built or anything like that. And then they broke up, I think, and she would be dating these dumb guys, and he would be wondering why. I think that you have to find someone that matches you, like whether or not it happened to be a guy that maybe he's a big dumb jock. I don't think there's anyone that's out there that's super dumb. I mean, there probably is. But what I mean is that you want to find the person across from you that you're sitting with, whether or not they're academic, they're not academic, they're athletic, they're not athletic, whatever it is, that's going to match you in who you are and intellectual. Like, there's definitely things, like even in our relationship, you're really smart when it comes to medical things. You've always have been. You went to school, you did training, you were in the medical field for quite a few years. You've done all kinds of, I'm not very sharp in that, but I'm also sharp in other areas. And so I think that what we match in when it comes to intelligence or intellectual things is that there's a lot of things that you like that I think are stupid, right? And maybe I don't say it that way. Maybe I do.
No, I don't think you articulate it like that. I don't feel like you think. I feel like you just know that you're going to be in for a long-winded explanation.
And like, here's the truth. Like that opening that we had, it is absolutely the truth.
100% true.
Because I want to engage with her in conversation because I love her and I care for her and I like that she's happy with her dumb shows that she's watching. I regret the moment I ask, hey, which case are you watching now? Because I literally just wanted to know what the name of it was, a one-line synopsis, this guy killed blah, 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 and that be that. But no, I actually get now the history of the killer, the history of the lawyer, the history of the second lawyer, the names of the third and fourth lawyers that are working on the case that are actually not even in the room, the judge's shoe size. I get all kinds of stuff, and I just want to know what case and literally what happened, and then tell me at the end what the final verdict was. Like, that's all I need to know. But you will give me that long-winded response.
Exactly. Now, we'll talk about that.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
To just not piggyback, but go back to your comment regarding being sort of like intellectually compatible. I think it can work if you are not talking down.
Yes.
To the
you don't think you're superior to the other one,
right? Because they, if you're a chef that they can't cook, and then they're made to feel inferior because they might not excel at cooking or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I don't think, two people who are accountants are like best paired for each other.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it can work where one is an accountant and one works in a clothing store.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think
it doesn't have to be
if we've
matched.
seen if you see anything, you see people of varying intelligences, but because people are usually intelligent in a particular field.
Right.
Like we have couples that one was a nail tech or a salon, and they were an electrician or a carpenter.
Yep.
They're smart in the things they're doing, but what they did is they found a way that they too can come connect with their mind in whatever way that happened to be. Now, even when we're talking about intellectual intimacy, we should probably define a little bit of what it is. And really, when it is literally the act of sharing ideas with each other and discussions that actually bring about just meaningful, valuable, helpful, funny, intense, deep, cerebral, ethereal type conversations that stimulate relationship between you and your partner.
That's right. And we were just talking about this the other day leading up to this episode. Right. I didn't realize, but it dawned on me, not maybe the intrigue, that's probably not the right word when it comes to like true crime watching.
How does Natalie relax, folks? She relaxes by watching true crime.
That's right. So there's something to be said about watching a particularly
violent,
disturbing case and having an appreciation for choices that I've made in my life.
That led you down a different path.
That led me down a different path, right? Or looking at, you and just being so grateful that I was as picky as I was marrying you. Do you know what I mean? And it sparks conversation.
Right.
So many times be like, I cannot fathom, especially when it's cases involving children. Those are really, really, really hard on the one hand. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, when you see some of these cases roll through with women suffering from postpartum, as I have suffered from postpartum, but made different choices in that it's horrific, but there's an empathy of had I not made those
Right.
the decisions that led me down the path that I'm on, who's to say that I would not have landed where these women find themselves, or these men, or whoever it might be. So it sparks
Conversation
of like, and reflection on, holy cow, like, aren't we all one or multiple decisions away from a different outcome?
Yeah, that is true. I think that when you're watching the news, or you're like, you see those channels. I remember back in the old days when they had back in the old days when, man, I can't believe I'm saying that, but when they would have police shows, and it was like criminals' biggest blunders, or those are the funny ones, or the serious ones are like, this is someone who, or they show the pictures of someone before meth and then after meth, and you're like, man, I'm so thankful for the decisions that I was made, the upbringing that I had. And it does bring that around, but also a lot of times these things have sparked conversation about how are we going to talk to our kids about this, especially when they were younger. Like, how are we going to talk to our kids about this particular situation? Or they heard something at school. Oh, I heard this about this family, and you're like, yeah, that's actually true. This is what happened, and you have to. Now it sparks opportunity. So not only does it brings you two together, where you're growing together because you're having these deep conversations, and that actually brings about an ability to know each other deeper, and how you think, and how your thought processes think. I can actually say things like, Nat, I know you're going to say no to this. And like even today, our son is driving an hour away out of town. And I said to you over the phone, you were nervous about him driving from here to that place out of town. And I said, that's fair. But I said, I trust my son, and it's your heart talking, or your head knows it's true, but your heart doesn't know the difference. And I can say to you, I know you, but I've learned that over conversations, over us having to fight for our values together, having to fight over, I don't mean fight as in we're angry at each other. I'm talking like we fight for these things together. And so we believe in our son, we trust in our son that he's going to do that. Your head is telling you, yes, I understand he's a good driver, but your heart is being a mama, and it's being like, and so I can say to you, sweetie, I trust him. I understand where you are. I understand this and here. And instead of what I would have done in the old days, no, he can just do it. It's on whatever. I don't care about your feelings. Just go do it. I was like, no, I understand. But I wouldn't have got to that place of understanding with you if I not had to spend that time getting to know that part of you. And part of that and of knowing you is you like these weird true crime things. But that's just something that sparks conversation. And so
100%.
We're talking about intellectual conversations. I can say to anyone at work, oh, Natalie, I asked Natalie about a true crime podcast, and they'd be like, oh, they know just the like any one of your friends would be like, yeah, I know you got the long answer, didn't you? It's like, yeah, like it promotes growth for each of you, because now you're having conversations about things you may never
exactly.
I'm not talking. I feel like I'm
the true crime.
No, but
like,
just
lay that aside, because we've mentioned like it has really sparked conversations about the kind of people that we want to be.
But also documentaries and stupid things
other
we see.
podcasts that you're listening to really spark conversations on communication and conversations on dealing with conflict and things like that. Like the hostage negotiator guy.
Oh yeah, Chris Voss.
Right.
Wow, that was
incredible.
hard.
Like if you have not listened to his podcast,
and the other one that I talk about, The Art of Manliness, but with Brett. Oh man, just one of my favorite podcasts. It's so good. Anyone?
Right? So it's not just
listen to it.
Like podcasts and true crime, but I think those are really great catalysts to open up conversations.
But what you're doing though is you're challenging each other. You're challenging each other's thought processes. Well, why do you think like that?
Especially if you're watching the news, and then you can discuss like current events.
Well, did you here's the thing. Here's one of those. A few years ago when Trump won in 2016, there was a couple that made the news all over social media because they had only been dating for a short time. They didn't know each other's political affiliations. Trump wins in 2016. They were dating. She broke up with him because he supported Trump and she didn't. What do you get from not communicating and not engaging with each other? They were dating for a significant amount of time, like 8 or 9 months. It was a relationship. Like
they must not have got to like political views. And actually, now that you mentioned that, I don't even think we even chatted about.
Not before we were married. We just assumed that we were both on the same page, not really thinking about politics that much when you're young.
No, but I mean, to that couple, that was like being able to know that that's a deal breaker for you.
Yeah. But, right. But like I said, you need to, and here's the thing is that oftentimes in our coaching, I've heard couples say, well, I just don't know what to talk to her about or him about. Right. We have nothing to talk about. I'm like, are you kidding?
Are you reading a book? Chat about the book.
Yeah.
Were you reading the Bible? Chat about the Bible.
And honestly, this is some of the times when I know that if I ask, Natalie, how was your day? I'm going to get a list of things of how your day was. This happened with work, and we had this fun thing that happened in my job, and my boss said this, and it was a good day, or it was a bad day, and it was just, whatever day it was. But I'll get a list of things, and Natalie will ask, well, how was your day? Oh, it was good.
That's not good enough.
And I've learned over the years, Natalie, you didn't let me finish, is that that's not good enough. She wants details. As much as I don't want to provide her details because I'm like, the day was good. There was nothing out of the ordinary to explain.
Exactly. But that doesn't, like, part of this whole idea of having intellectual intimacy is bringing each other into each other's worlds.
Right. Right. And
it doesn't matter what we're doing. And if the day was so boring, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that to that end, you don't care about motorcycle things.
No. I want to care. I just haven't.
I know that you try to care, but I'll be like, I'll show her a bike that I think is like, man, this motorcycle is so nice. I love the handlebars. Look at the size of that back tire. And this thing is just got nice curves. And she looks at it and she's like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like, are you kidding me? I need you to love this like I do right now. Like this is the bike I want to have when I'm an adult.
There is a bike.
If you say Harley, I'm going to be upset.
It is not a Harley. I think those things are ugly. Sorry, Uncle Dan. I am very fond of Honda Shadows.
I have an old Honda Shadow.
I know. And I like your bike.
Yeah.
But was it the Phantom?
Oh, yeah, you like the Phantom.
That is a really, really
It is a very nice bike. Not enough CCs for me, but it's a nice bike.
Matte black, and I'll just leave it at that.
Matte
Google
black,
what that
wow.
looks like. It's beautiful.
So we just wanted to give you some funny examples. We've talked a little bit about the things that we are weird about in our relationship. Like it was music or motorcycles for me.
And these are like huge areas that we find common ground in.
We do
because
now.
Because though I'm musical, I hate going into the music store.
I know you do.
It is the worst. It is the worst.
I noticed that you have a lot more patience for a middle son.
Yes, and I do
than
have
you ever did for me.
You.
Is there a reason for that? I would like to know. Can we tell our listeners why you have more patience for our middle son than the one you married first?
I will tell the listeners that there's
some sass on her face right now.
Marriage is sacrifice. And
wow,
going to the music store is an act of sacrifice.
But for my son?
And I dislike going even, it's not, I like the company I'm with. I just don't like the location.
Yeah, just like when our oldest starts talking to you about computer parts, you could sit there for half an hour and he pretty much
try to understand.
And he pretty much just spoke Korean for the last 30 minutes. And you're like, oh man, that's awesome,
right?
son.
We're not going to have the same interests. And I think that's what makes it fun.
That definitely. So we just want to give you some just fun examples. Some things that maybe are some things that maybe you want to get into or maybe that you have gotten into, but some couples might get into deep debate about life over coffee. You know, I had
or deep debate about coffee.
Yeah, that's...
Because I was a barista. And when... prior to us dating, and I fancied myself a coffee connoisseur. I knew where all the coffees came from. I knew their weird names.
Yeah, you did.
And all the...
And I didn't actually really drink coffee until a few years into us dating.
Exactly.
Or even to married.
Right. It gave us something to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Do you like coffee? Well, I like coffee too.
Here's what happened is I would go into stores, like coffee places, and I would order usually just a black coffee of some kind because I actually really like a nice dark roast black coffee. She would order whatever weird, funny, fruity, or sweet thing that she would get, it was always so much better than my black coffee. So eventually, over the years, I just learned that I'll just have what she has. Unless I know that I like whatever it is, I'll just have what Natalie's having because it's so much better than whatever I'm going to get.
That's right. So, I mean, whatever your interests are.
It could be solving crossword puzzles, if that's a thing for you, or playing video games together. That's a big thing. There's a whole thing about gamer culture that's happening in the world. Or
That's
you
right. Watch documentaries.
or
and
you-
I love documentaries.
I know
and
you
not
do.
just crime documentaries.
Yeah.
I love animal
See,
documentaries.
or like here's one is you get into arguments, playful, fun, joyous arguments about who would win in a super fight. What superhero would win in a fight? Now I've never done that with Natalie, but I have done that with really good friends,
you?
friends.
Okay, so who do you think would win?
Over what? Who's the pick two superheroes. I bet you they don't even come from the same universe.
Probably not.
You probably will pick a DC and a Marvel one thinking they're from DC.
Gosh.
Pick one.
Spider-Man and Venom.
Oh, why would you choose such a challenging one?
Yeah.
Because they have a whole comic book series, many books about
Exactly.
I think it would be Venom personally, but
And I agree, and Venom happens to be my
see, we don't
favorite
even disagree. You
anti-hero.
got to pick someone we disagree on. Scarlet Witch versus Batman, or Scarlet. Never mind. Let's just move on. This is going to get weird. Well, what superhero that would be one thing, or maybe Natalie. My brother-in-law harasses me, Jeremy, all the time. The fact that I can just pick out an actor. And I'll do this now. Oh, yeah, that was this person. They played in a movie. And Jeremy will make some snide cut. Oh, yeah, he was the key grip that played with the second director no one's ever heard of. I just happen to remember people's names.
That's right.
That's
And you
why
know what?
I'm good at that at church.
When we're in a trivia game, that knowledge is excellent.
Yeah, but rarely are we at a trivia game about
I'm just
actors'
saying,
names.
if we could be at a trivia game, and if we were playing like Trivial Pursuit,
Right.
that would be really handy skill.
Right? Like,
And we would certainly appreciate it at that point.
yeah, and I think that just what we're trying to get to is that you need to find a way between the two of you. And
Exactly.
sometimes we've done this when we're coaching is like, look, you want to go home and just play video games, or you want to go home and just listen to music, or you want to go home and sit out in your shop, whatever it is. She wants you to, and this is like I'm talking from a guy and a girl point of view. She wants you to like tell you about your day. What did you do? The things that happened.
Yeah.
What are your hopes and dreams? And the truth is, ladies, sometimes when you ask us, what are you thinking about? It genuinely is nothing. We're not thinking about anything. We weren't thinking about anything. And if it was going to be something trivial. Like, man, why does the pedal stick on my car? Like, why is the door handle a little bit jiggly? Like, dumb things like that. It's not like we're thinking about the meaning of life or that. What I'm saying is that you need to find a way between the two of you to cultivate something that you both want to work on together, to talk about together, to engage in together, to work through together. Right. And there's nowhere in the manual of any kind of manual that says you have to have the exact same likes, dislikes, interests, hobbies, opinions. In fact, it's better when you don't.
I think it's more exciting when you can come together. So many of our our DIY projects.
Oh my goodness.
We've had so many laughs with my measurements and of furniture, or
I feel like
we're painting something, and
I feel like I get PTSD when we talk about your measuring.
Just to move on quickly.
No.
That,
I think we need to pause.
Think that,
and we need to talk about the bureau that I brought home that you measured and thought was going to fit and hung out the back of the car 2 feet.
That's right.
And I had to get the strap from the guy that sold it to me because his wife did the exact same thing. And that guy, where he got the strap, was the other guy that had that happen to him. And I came home in a car that beeped all the way home, beep, 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 because you measured 2 feet wrong.
Yeah.
It was impressive, I got to say.
But boy, did it spark a conversation when you came home and we could laugh about it.
Here's the value that we learned from that, people, is that I do all the measuring.
That's right.
All of it.
Right. But
and the percentages off of discounts.
I think, that meme.
Girl maths.
Where the person's measuring with their hands and then they carry their hands from what they were measuring to the new piece. That may be me, and it keeps it exciting. As soon as I say, I found this thing online. His
Like-
Brian's like, he's turned off the TV. Boy, do I get his attention really quickly.
Yeah, when she walked by me with a tape measure, I'm like, whoa, 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 what's going
What
on?
is
Why is there a tape
Can you
measure
even
out?
read that
Or
thing?
when you have your hands 6 inches apart and you're walking with them rigid. Yeah,
That's right.
But what we're saying is that these things are important for your relationship, to find the things that spark conversation,
Exactly.
that spark challenging each other, that help you think about opinions and perspectives.
Right. It
And-
helps deepen that emotional bond. We talked last time about emotional
Yeah. Two episodes
intimacy.
ago about emotional intimacy.
Yeah, right. This just helps deepen that bond that
Yeah.
you have.
Absolutely. And so there you've heard a lot about some of our story here, and I think that what we want to say is just, if you're struggling to find something to communicate about, to talk about, you're finding maybe there's just a lull in conversation, it could literally be anything that sparks interest in it, and actually just, even if you have to pretend for a little while.
Yep.
Just-
Share ideas.
Yeah,
I think that is just as basic as you can get.
Or share, even share a dream that you have, like, hey, I really want to go to Ireland before I'm 35.
Right.
I mean, I'm way older than that, but I'm just saying, like, whatever your dream is, I actually really want to go stand on the Great Wall of China, or I really want to go swim with sharks, whatever the heck. But if you're struggling with that communication, just work it out together.
Right.
But don't quit because it got a little bit too hard, and you've got into the pattern of, well, we're not going to communicate anyway, so I'm not going to push forward
Right.
with it.
And there's a sort of a domino effect. When you are sharing ideas, then you're learning together, which promotes engaging conversations. That might bring up some differing of opinions and interests, but it provides you a way to work through that.
Yeah.
Helps keep the relationship, in my opinion, really exciting. One, because you I don't think know what I'm going to say
Right.
at any given point, and vice versa. I don't know what you're going to say or what idea you're going to bring up. And
So I can always tell by tone and how you start the conversation. Like, whenever you say, so, I know that something weird is about to happen. I know that it's coming. I don't know what it's going to be, but I just know by tone that you're going to say something unpredictable, or we should try this, or I think we should do this. And you're
that's
like,
right.
yeah.
But you know what it does for both of us, because you also do the same thing. It helps us adapt to change.
Right.
I don't want to be the same person with the same routine, even though I love my routine.
Right.
I don't want to still be doing the same things year after year after year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
As long
that's
as,
fair.
Right? So I think you can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be so hoity-toity and smarty-smarty. I think it can just be as basic as, I read this book, I saw this quote,
Yeah.
and having that as a starting point.
I read or I listened to a podcast, again, on The Art of Manliness, one of my favorite podcasts, and he had a gentleman on that talked about, he tracked the ways of super communicators. What he called were super communicators. And he said the biggest difference with every person he ever communicated with that was what was called a super communicator was they asked more questions. Mm-hmm. And so whatever conversation is, because I'm a pastor, I want to know what's happening in people's lives and what's going on. Do it with my kids, do it with Natalie. Is I ask questions. Well, what about this? Or how did that happen? Or, man, that sounds really cool. Tell me about that. And with the moment you do that, you open like an open-ended question, like, hey, how was your day? Whatever you're going to ask. Mm-hmm. If you ask it in such a way that there's actually a reason to answer, then when you give the answer, it can actually be expanded on and you have something to talk about.
Yeah.
But you just ask questions. Ask questions. Like, just ask lots of questions.
Yeah, that's a great way.
Right? And that's just the way that some people are just super communicators with certain things. And so I think that if you don't know, again, just spark a conversation, ask a question. How was your day? Tell me about your day. Open up the question a bit more. Hey, what is one thing today that you really liked or really didn't like? What went right? What went wrong?
That's
whatever
right.
that may be, right? Like, and there's
Just
a certain way.
Engage each other
Yeah.
in some fun and quirky things that you
Hey,
are interested in.
get off your phones and get on. No, I can't say that. That's inappropriate. Get off your phones. Spend time with each other asking questions. All right. If you enjoy our podcast, if you want to share it with people, that means a great deal to us. It means a lot when you do that, but you can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. If you have any questions or a topic or anything you would like us to discuss, please email us at amplifiedmarriage@gmail.com. And as you have heard us say many times, we believe that your marriage can be reset,
refreshed,
recharged,
and restored.
Thanks for listening.
Talk to you soon.